Hello, warm welcome to Glass Academy. Today I'm going to present about the overview of glass processing and sustainability on glass processing. This is my agenda. So what is glass processing, a type of glass processing, benefits of glass processing and sustainability on processing. So let's begin. So first we are going to discuss about a type of glass processing in a processing plant. So it starts with glass storage, pre-processing, tempering, heat strengthening, heat soak, laminated glass, ceramic glass, digital printing, basically printing technology, acid etching and sun frosting. So these are the common typical types of glass processing happening over the world and as well as India. So PP is most important tool for glass processing industry. So let's begin with PPE. So it's a personal protective equipments, which you all know about it. So safety helmet, safety shoe, safety gloves, safety goggle, safety apron is most essential in terms of using the glass handling and wherever you are in the floor. So you'll have to be very careful in terms of usage of PPE. Otherwise, because you are dealing with the glass, so anytime hazardous may happen. So we'll have to protect ourselves. So first of all, the people has to wear personal protective equipments. Start from process to dispatch of the glass. So let's talk about the glass receipt. Basically, you get the glass from the processor. So you get the glasses from the manufacturer. So where you're getting the glass in a truck, so you'll have to keep it in respective places where you can store either thickness wise or clear glass or coated glass, different types of glasses we have. So accordingly you can store in a respective places so that identification will be easier. So upon receipt of the glass receipt, so you'll have to do first thing is you'll have to enter the data when it is received, what type of glass it is, where you're stored. So basically it's a first in first out basically. So you'll have to figure out the way how effectively you can use the systematically handling the glass. So glass receipt is most important. So as soon as it reaches, so you'll have to enter not on the glass, you'll have to enter in your document. So no marking on the glass, use labels for easy identifications. During a loading and unloading, use racks. So these are the rack systems which you saw the second picture. So it will have to be used extensively on rack system rather than using on the wall. So most of the processor would stack on the entire pile on the wall. So we do not know how much strength the wall has it. Okay, so we cannot predict. So we'll have to use the proper rack system, either A-frame or L-rack. You can use it. Handle with the glass very care not to damage the glass or coating. So we'll have to be very careful at the time of shifting one place to other place, or we want to store it, and take a photograph in case of any damages at the time of receipt. So immediately you have to contact a respective supplier, basically float glass manufacturers. You'll have to give them the details, what has happened, either breakage or aluminum foil peel off or water accumulation on the truck, on the glass and everything. So basically you'll have to identify and you'll have to respectively you have to be report to the respective float manufacturers. Glass storage, store in a dry and well ventilated area. Avoid any changes in temperature and humidity. So this is the most important. And next is store away from the direct sources of heat. Most of the time, so people are stacking outside of the processor, like warehouse, where you have respective place for storing the glass, whereas people not using at the right place to store. So we should not allow them. I mean, everybody should have a good practice to store inside the building where you have a you don't have any direct sunlighting towards on the glass. And protect from the direct water splashes, either rainwater or piping which is dripping. So it should be stopped. And protect against scratches and edge damages of the breakages, because sometimes you're not able to shift the one pile. So maybe you'll have to do a single pane at the time. So you'll have to be very careful at the time of shifting one place to other place. So not to avoid the scratches between the glasses. Use glass separators store the glass. For example, if it is a big pane, it's a parent glass where you cannot use it because already float manufacturer have sent with no lucite powder, which is separol powder, which can be separated at the time of cutting, or if you want to move it in the different places. So you can use a LRAC system with the separator, so you can use it for stacking purpose. And stack the glass from the biggest to smaller. Don't no, mix it a smaller, medium, bigger, so that you cannot take in a proper manner. So you take appropriate action towards stacking as well. Let's move on to glass processing line. What is typical glass process line look like? So this is a most common processing line in worldwide. So you can see here warehouse, cutting, erasing, polishing, drilling, washing. So this is which I indicated red color, which is called the pre-processing department or zone. Okay, and next is tempering. So in a basically it's a U shape. It's a one shape, you have seen that. The next, after upon completion of tempering, so either you have to go to IGU or laminations, depends upon, either first maybe IGU would have been there or lamination would have been there. It depends upon the processor, how they want to place their machines. So accordingly they can place. So this is schematic diagrams to understand effectively on processing line how typically look like. After lamination IGU, the heat soak machines and printing, either it's a digital printing or it's a ceramic printing can be done, or frosting. Again, it's a frosting is a two types on acid frosting and sand frosting. After that is a dispatch. So this is the typical processing line for processor. So let's move on to the tempering. So before going to the tempering, so I would like to give a few more details about pre-processing. So because the pre-processing is the prime processing of any with respect to any glass processing. So cutting and erasing, polishing, drilling, washing. If you are not very careful about handling on pre-processing, so whatever your mistake you have done, you are allowed to make scratches or whatever it may be. So it will be replicated during the process course of action, like tempering, IGU lamination. If you're not pre-process is not done properly, you have to expect some of the defects going to appear after tempering, post tempering, or IGU or lamination, or respect to the process. So pre-processing is a most important and playing vital role in processing. So even not only the pre-processing, at all the stages, we'll have to be very careful in terms of handling the glass. So let's move on tempering. So what is meant by tempering? First of all, you would have known about it. So this is the schematic diagram for the tempering machines. Okay, so loading, heating, quenching, cooling, unloading. There are 4 sections of process in tempering line. So tempering is nothing but the glasses has been heated up to like 650 or 690 or 700 degrees centigrade, heated up to certain period with respect to the thickness. Okay. And after that, how fast you are cooling the glass, you will be getting the stress induced on the surface of the glass. So thereby you are increasing the mechanical strength of the glass. So that is called the tempering process. So this is the schematic diagram. And you can see this difference between the heat strengthened glass and tempered glass fragmentations. If somebody wants to check the fragmentation portion, so thereby you can understand what has happened on the glass. Basically, whether it is tempered, HS or annealed, you can go through, you can easily identifiable through this fragmentation pattern. So you can see the rightmost, which has a small dull edges, which is called tempering fragmentations. You can see the leftmost side, which is very sharp edges, as good as annealed glass. Okay, so you can see that. So this is the differentiate between the HS and tempered glass. So in tempering, visual distortion is most important. You would have checked that these are the pictures you would have saw in the tempering line when the glass coming out of the quenching line. So you'll have to go through this process, which is called visual distortion. You'll have to see this the zebra line at 3 meter distance and a 30 degree angle, which you see that if the glass perfectly tempered, or you can say distortion less, or you cannot eliminate completely. You can play a tempering process to maybe modify the distortion level. Tempered glass would always has distortions, but it can be the good processing machine. We can probably increase the less distortion. So that's what tempering process. You can see the below picture has a problem of distortion. So all the glasses has a problem because at the time of tempering they were not taken care about this distortions. So which will be after installing the glass, you will able to see the distortion effect. So in order to avoid this, so you will have to be very careful at the time of tempering. So in the common defect in tempering is distortion. There are other defects like coating burn for the solar control or Low-E classes, scratches, oxidization, a lot of things are there. So let's move on the heat strengthening. Heat strengthening is nothing but the same similar process of tempering process where the glass fed into the furnace subject to heat and pressures applied, which means 690 to 700 degrees centigrade in a particular period of time with respect to thickness. How slow when it comes to the quenching session, cooling session, you'll have to cool the glass very slow pace. It's not like a tempering process where you apply the amount of air in a sudden, which is very rapid manner. So you'll get a tempered process. Whereas heat strengthening, the same process, typical tempering process, except the cooling, the rate of cooling is differs. The how slow you are cooling the glass, you'll be getting a heat strengthened glass. So I would like to give you a small brief about this. You see there's the left hand side, the annealed glass breakages. You see there are a lot of cracks. When annealed glass breaks, it's very sharp, it can harm anybody. And this in the middle picture shows it's a HS glass. So typical, same as good as annealed glass, but it has a strength glass, which is twice than the annealed glass strength. Basically mechanical strength you are increasing, and safety aspect of the glass we are doing the heat strengthening and tempering. And the last one, which is third one, we can see that the small fragmentations that is look like small crystals. You can see that is the fragmentation of tempered glasses. Let's move on this application of tempering. So application of tempering, which means widely used, the facades or interior application. You can see that the glass either any color, it depends upon the what color of glass you are going to select, or if you are going to do a clear glass with a laminate color PEB, you can get a color glass as well. So the tempering process is similar, but the other process which is additionally involved to give a aesthetic effect. You see this is the clear glass facade and interior partitions. These are tempered. It has to be tempered glass. You cannot use any annealed glass over there. And automobile glasses also. These are the automobile glasses, basically sandwiched glass, which is a laminated glass. In the event of breakages, and the glass would not hurt the driver or the seat who's occupied the inside, they'll not get hurt. So basically that PEB layer which is protecting them, the breakages, which is though it is glass breaks, but any stone or any whatever obstacle which is not piercing to or passing through the glass. So basically this is the windshield application, car manufacturer widely used on glass. Next, move on to heat soak glass. So people always call about self-suicide glass. Okay, what is meant by heat soak glass? Heat soak glass is nothing but it's a process of, after tempering, people have to use this process to avoid, or you can eliminate this nickel sulfate inclusions. So one of type of imperfection of nickel sulfate inclusion in the raw glass processing, raw glass manufacturing. At the tempering, so that impurities would not burn perfectly, or it will not release the stress at the time of tempering. So some of the inclusions are very stable, which is not causing any problems, spontaneous problems at the time of tempering. So we cannot identify whether this glass is having nickel sulfate or not. So however, the potential nickel sulfate inclusions that may cause spontaneous breakages in tempered glass without any load or thermal stress being applied. So how to overcome this issue? So we'll have to use a particular chamber where the glass been fed into the chamber, which 290 degrees centigrade. We'll have to accelerate the nickel sulfate expansion process. If the glass has the nickel sulfate, the glass would get break at the chamber itself. That can be recycled. If it passed from the heat soak test, so basically it will help for the occupant for avoiding the spontaneous breakages any point of time. So thus reducing the risk of potential and field breakage at the various places. You can see this, the first picture where this is a microscopic picture of nickel sulfate inclusion on the raw glass. If it is if the nickel sulfate inclusion in the center, so the possibility of breakage is at the earliest. For example, if it is in tensile portions, yes, it's going to be any one point of time it's going to break. We can expect a spontaneous breakages on the tempered glass. This is only on tempered glass. It cannot be on the heat strengthened glasses. Why? Because the tempered glass has a strength like annealed glass than the 4 to 5 times than the annealed glass strength. So stress completely induced. There will not be no longer arrange residual stress upon. So this particle, when it's 290 degree in a particular period, you keep it at the chamber, you are allow the expansion of nickel sulfate till alpha to beta stage. It will changes the phases of nickel sulfate. It happened only on the tempered glass. Heats in the glasses has a less compressive strength compared to the tempered glass, whereas it is compared to annealed glass, it is twice than the annealed glass.